This is the lesson for Chapter 7, Section 4, day number 3 on approximating square roots. So now we're going to apply what we learned yesterday. So we approximated some square roots. So now we're actually going to put them into a problem and approximate them as well. So the area of a square is 55 square feet. So remember, a square is going to have all sides being the same. So every side's the same, and so if that's the case, if I did not know one side, I could find out the area of that side by knowing the area. So the area is just going to be x squared, so x times x will equal the area. So if I go ahead and substitute the 55 in place of a, take the square root, I would have the answer. So here we go. We got to find the square root of 55. So yesterday we talked about finding the numbers, the perfect squares that are between, that 55 is between. So 49 is one of them. 64 is the other. So I know 55 is in between these two values. So the square root of 49 is 7, the square root of 64 is 8. And so what I'm going to end up needing to do is find out how close it is. So 49, I'll take that away from 64, and that'll find the denominator of the mixed number I'm trying to look for. So this one ends up being 1 and 5, so 15. So it's going to be 7 and then 15 is the whole. Now I'm going to find the part. And so the way we do that is we subtract 49 from 55. And so when you do that work, you end up having to borrow a little bit, and that makes 6. So 6/15ths, and that reduces. So that's the same thing as saying 6 or 7 and I'll take out the common factor of 3 from both those numbers, 2/5. So that's going to be about, well, exactly 7 4/10. So 7 4/10, that is going to end up being to the nearest tenth of a foot. That's the side length. Side length. And we can check that answer with the calculator. Again, if we pull up the calculator and do 55, you take the square root, you see how 7.41. Yeah, that's really close to the side length we thought. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that answer and we're going to find out the perimeter. So that's just one of the sides. Since there's 4 sides, so I'm going to take one side and times it by the total sides. And that's going to end up giving me the perimeter. And so in this case, since it's a square, it's just going to be 7.4 times by 4. So that makes 16, carry a 1, and that makes 28, and 1 make 29. And the decimal moves over one space. And so that's going to end up being our answer, except then I need to round it to the nearest foot. So it's going to be about 30 feet. Now, if you were to do this in a calculator, what you'd want to do is instead of approximating this first, you want to make sure that it gives you, you want to approximate at the end, or do the rounding at the end of the value, or at the end of the problem. So I would write 4 times by, and then I'd write in the square root of 55. Let's see if I can fit it in there. 55 square root, I think that's going to end up doing it. 4 times by the square root of 55. There it is. So that gave me 7.41. Let's see if it gives it to me. There it is. 20.66. So that's pretty much what we got, and we rounded to the nearest foot, so 30 feet would end up being that perimeter. So let's take a look at the next one. Area of a square table is 122 square feet. So again, the square table has side lengths of x. X squared is going to be our area since it's a square table. And so we have x squared equals 122. So we go ahead and take the square root of both sides. And I'm trying to find out what square roots are. What is it close to? 121. Wow, it's really close to that one. And I've got 144 being the other one. And so I see it's either going to be 11 or 12, and it looks like it's going to be really close to 11. So let's find out how close. 11, and I can do this math in my head. 122 minus 121 is 1. So I can do that part. That's where I'm getting 1 from. Now I get the whole number by subtracting 121 from 144. So that gives me 23. So 11 and 1/23. So that's going to be a very small number, really close to 11. That's going to be closer to 11 than to 11.1. See, if I go ahead and do that division, you can see 1 divided by 23 is closer to 0. See, 0.04. That is not big enough to round that up. So let's see what that number is, if we go ahead and plug it in, 122, square root of that, 11.04. See how close that is. So it's a really good approximation. This is the side length. Let's take a look at the perimeter now. So again, that area of the side length of the square ends up being 11.0. So we'll write in there side, and this is feet. And this is, I should have written feet on this one as well. Feet. So we've got side length. Oops. Side length. So let's take a look at the perimeter then. And the perimeter, again, you're just going to end up multiplying that distance, that length, by 4. And so this is going to give us exactly 44. So 44 feet is going to end up being that perimeter. That is the perimeter. So those are the types of problems that you're going to see on tonight's assignment. Good luck.